play Jeska, use the triple damage mode, swing into Nate, cast the cost-reduced Ember Cleave. If he doesn't have anything, this is going to be a lot of damage.
Today on Commander Replay, can our opponents withstand the one-punch power of Akroma and Jeska? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, help support me and save 15% on singles by using the promo code REPLAY at mothershipaTX.com. Commander Replay t-shirts, available in orange and colors beside orange.
Welcome back everyone, playing some Jeska and Akroma today. Take a look at this opener, seems reasonable, Soul Ring plus 2 lands. We'll want to find something that sustains us a little bit, some card draw, maybe a Sword of the Animist, something like that, but for now this seems fine. So today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Alex. I did have to make a couple changes to the deck. I had some trouble with MTGO import today, so there might be just a few small changes. One of the notable ones, they had Fiendish Duo in the deck, which is a really hard card to find in Magic Online, so I switched it out for this Morag. It serves a very similar role in the deck, so did something like that. I added the Strand Dynamo. I missed something when I was bringing all the stuff back in. There might be a few things going on with the lands, but I think I got everything else the way that it was, because, yeah, Magic Online was not being friendly this morning. But anyway, looks like we won the die roll. We are up first. We're going to play a land, drop a Soul Ring. We did draw a land off the top, which would be super helpful. Keep us going for a little bit. Really hoping on, like, Gift of Estates, Tithe, Mask of Memory, all that sort of stuff. Got a Llanowar Elves for our opponent on turn 1. So that'll bring it to our turn 2. We draw into an Akroma's Will. Let's get a red land into play, I think. What are we doing? We go Swiftblade first, or do we go Bastion Protector first? We'll just go for the Swiftblade in case we run into something cool like a Mask of Memory off the top. Don't know what else exactly is in here yet, but we'll see. So we pass like that, and opponent's going to drop in a Signet. Ooh, Manglehorn for opponent. Bet that's going to eat our Soul Ring. Indeed it will. That's not great. Our mana just got a lot worse. I'm actually a little bit nervous now. We kept that hand because of Soul Ring. If there's no Soul Ring in that hand, I probably don't keep it. There's an hour of Rev. Ooh, yeah, things are going to get awkward. I guess play the Bastion Protector. Do some attacking. We'll poke the Dimir deck real quick. So they'll take 2, and we'll pass like that. Here comes Esior into play. And a Skull Clamp coming in tapped because of the Manglehorn. Equips the Skull Clamp. I'm jealous. No action from Mango this turn. And a Mentor of the Meek from Nate. Also jealous. Really just want to draw some cards or find a way to get our next land drops going, because if we're stuck at 3 right here, it's not going to be a great time. 37 lands in the deck. Okay, 1 off the top. There's our 4th land, but we still got a ways to go here. I don't think it's really worth casting Jeska. Maybe we just kind of sit on Akroma's Will, and I don't know. The board is definitely going to develop around us, and that's not the most ideal, but we could probably get some last-minute pokes in. Does it make sense? No, the 3/3 kind of stops everything on the ground, so I think we just chill like that and pass the turn. Read the bones for opponent. So let's take a read of our commanders. We've got Akroma Vision of Ixidor, super cool card. 7 mana, 6/6, flying, first strike, vigilance, trample. At the beginning of each combat, until end of turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1 if it has flying, +1/+1 if it has first strike, and so on for double strike, death touch, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, protection, reach, trample, vigilance, and partner. It's a lot of abilities. So, definitely a keyword soup type of commander, and she's really cool, but we're pairing it with Jeska Thrice Reborn, who's also really cool. Jeska says, it's a 3 mana 0 loyalty planeswalker, enters with a counter on it for each time a commander's been cast from the command zone. And the 0 is, choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage. So good. That is so much damage. To the point where people have been messing with Voltron in CEDH because of Jeska. She does so much damage so quickly. There's a Blood Pet for Nate. That's part of some combos. Thrall Parasite, Mentor of the Meek. We could use something big right here. We need to get some value. A Thaumatic Compass. Sunforger is a card. I'm going to try it. I think we have to play the Unprotected Sunforger. We just don't have anything else going. And we got to get something. If we catch a land next turn, we could equip it and do something with it. That's Falthis coming into play for opponent. They're going to swing over to Nate. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing today. First up, we have Pauper R. Bust piloting Esior Wardwing Familiar and Falthis Shadowcat Familiar. We've seen this one once or twice before. It's their Dimir Voltron deck. Esior has flying, and spells that target it cost 3 more for opponents to cast. And Falthis says, commanders you control have Menace and Death Touch, so a little bit of evasion. Kind of a cool little deck. It's not super powerful in the Voltron sphere of things. It probably could be stronger. The way that you would make it strong is just by, like, counter everything that matters. But they've chosen not to do that. You know, I think they wanted just kind of a chill Dimir deck is what they were going for. And it's a cool little thing. Now, if we let it go for a while and they get some advantage going off of Skull Clamp and things like that, they'll definitely be in a reasonable place as this game gets going. But in this moment, I'm very jealous of their ability to draw cards. Ooh, that's a mana drain on the Beast Whisperer. That's probably a very good play. Nate is playing Nethroi. Yeah, we'll talk about it now. So yeah, Nate's piloting Nethroi, which is a super strong graveyard commander. I would say it's probably the strongest commander out of Ikoria. It just does so much. So they've got all these low drop creatures, and you can just reanimate a ton of things with Nethroi. So at least the Beast Whisperer is going to slow them down. They've probably got like 35, 40 creatures in the deck. They'd be drawn like crazy with it. So yeah, I think we're just going to equip a Sunforger. We will put it on. This thing's got double strike and trample. That's kind of cool, right? We're going to poke Mango. They did shoot our Soul Ring, and it hurt very badly. They've got open mana, which I'm pretty nervous about. But, yep, here comes Return to Nature on the Sunforger. Yeah, I'm so boned. That's a Blackblade Reforge for opponent. That will speed up the clock of that deck dramatically. Blue-Black, not known for its ability to punch super hard, but Blackblade Reforge fixes all that really quickly. And there's a Shadow Spear to go on top of it. Yeah, it's a 7/7. Going into Nate. It's got Death Touch, Menace, Lifelink, Trample, and Flying. That is some keywords. Nate takes a big old punch. 9 commander, 29 life. There's Grunn the Lonely King. Our final opponent, by the way, is Mango, piloting Grunn, who's coming into play right now, and it's a 10/10. That will also punch pretty hard. We need to find another planes. Probably have to fire off this Hour of Revelation at some point, so we're probably just going to slow roll everything, but the problem is always going to be that Nethroi just brings everything right back. So if someone doesn't exile the graveyards, that will be a thing, but we'll probably hang out for a moment because they haven't been focusing us with the Esior. Yeah, there's Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness is a win condition in Nate's deck. It is incredibly OP. He runs like Living Death loops and stuff like that, so if we can exile that one way or another, that would be a good thing. And he's going to draw a card. Brings us back to our turn. There's that 5th land we needed last turn. We can Hour of Rev, but I'm going to hold off for a moment. Just going to try to slow roll it as much as we can. I think that's our only real hope here. And we'll pass like that. That's an Umazawa's Jite. Comes in tapped. That's going to eat everything on board. You know, it usually takes 4 counters to really do a lot of damage, but Nate's board is full of 1 toughness creatures, so he can really chew through some stuff over there. We'll probably lose the Swiftblade Vindicator. Mana Dorks are always on the hook to get eaten by Umazawa's. Ooh, he's going after him pretty hard. Yup. Let's see if Nate has a path. He does not. 2 counters on the Jite. Rootless U coming into play. When it dies, search your library for a creature with power or toughness 6 or greater, reveal it, put it in your hand. It's not bad. Cool little tree folk. So Nate's going to have to play some removal if he wants to stay in this. There's a Liliana Dreadhorde General. That is removal. Good removal at that. Each player is going to sacrifice 2 creatures. Ouch. Ooh, he's going to minus some stuff, so he shoots the Blood Pet. He sacks it in response, so he'll get to draw a card. And he floats a black. And he's also going to shoot the Eternal Witness. And now he'll have to sacrifice both of his remaining creatures, so it'll slow him down a little, but he did draw 2 cards off of it. And again, it's a Reanimator deck, so if no one exiles his graveyards, although there is a Scavenger Grounds in play, then, you know, he's just going to get everything right back. So we need to sacrifice both of our creatures. Down they go. If we're going to sacrifice their Rootless U, they'll get a trigger off that. Also the Skull Clamp trigger, so everyone drawing cards but us. If we could get like a Keeper of the Accord and keep that in play for a few turns, that would be super cool. Ooh, brings it to our turn. There's a Smothering Tide. That is the mana that we so badly need. Hope this sticks. If it does, we might actually be able to do stuff. If it doesn't, it's not looking great. First Smothering Tithe trigger. Esior back to play. So one of the problems with playing Voltron in other colors without red or without white, red gives you haste and double strike and double damage, which is all super important. The haste, I can't overstate how important haste is on a Voltron commander, because once your commander dies, bringing it back and being able to use it right away is a very big deal. Ooh, opponent's going to force a Vigor on the Shadow Spear and the Blackblade Reforged. Skullclamp and Umezawa's are still both really good, though. Another treasure for us. And white gives you a lot of equipment tutoring and also gives you a lot of double strike. That stuff's also really important. You know, all that kind of combined, double strike is super good for cutting down the clock that you need to actually take someone out of a game. And, you know, it just takes longer when you don't have those things. You need to have more things in play, like Blackblade Reforged, to really hold up on that. Ooh. So, opponent casts an Enray's Forerunners, pumps up their Grunn. Grunn was swinging into Pauper. It was going to double its power, but they hit it with a fumble, so it's going to return to their hand. There were no auras or equipment attached, but opponents using a bit of removal on each other, slowing each other down. Love it. Though we do need to keep Nate in mind, because his deck will go from 0 to 100 all in one turn. Gonna make a zombie with the Liliana. Gonna search with Demonic Tutor. Yep. This is gonna be the Living Death. It's got 5 mana up. That would bring Manglehorn back. So Nate tutors. Doesn't do anything else first main. Gonna pass like that. What could he have gone for? Teferis maybe? Removal? I don't know. There's a Plains. Mana is good. We need to keep making those land drops. Well, if we want to make things really interesting, we cast Gisela and then see what our opponents do. The only problem is that it's going to be a second before we have enough mana to hold up Akroma's Will to protect it. But I think we still just do it because we just don't have much else we can do. So, cast Gisela. Hope we get to 2 treasures quickly before opponents want to interact with it. Up to 3 treasures. Really like to get to 4 so we can keep Akroma's Will online. Opponent activates the Skullclamp. Sadly, they tap the Scavenger Grounds. That makes me nervous, although they could maybe take Nate out right here, but he does have 5 mana up. He just tutored. He has 7 cards, so, like, he's got to have something, right? He's going to try it. Let's find out what Nate got. Just Swords to Plowshares. Or maybe he had the swords. Why did he pay so much, though? Oh, he had to pay extra for the Esior. Uh-oh. That's a Narset, which means this Gisela's probably going down. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Crap. That means that this will no longer be lethal. Gets 2 counters on it. Plays some boots. Soul Ring for opponent. Grunn back to play. It is kicked. Got 5 counters on it. It's a 10-10. That's going to be a 7-7 over to Nate. He gonna feel that. You take out the Planeswalker, though. Because that thing's getting loaded up again, and pretty soon it's going to be back on enough to make everyone sacrifice. Takes the hit, goes down to 12. Let's find out what Nate's big play is. I mean, he can just do the Nethroi thing, right? He's got 7 mana. He wouldn't have anything else, though. That would get him back Eternal Witness, Blood Pet. Blood Pet gives him extra mana. Thrall Parasite. It's fine. It's not, like, game-breaking in this moment. There's a Walking Ballista. That could be game-breaking. He casts it so it dies immediately. So we cast it for 0. We get another treasure. Treasures are cool. 2-2 into Grunn. I think he's just trying to get more things killed so he can draw more cards. They don't block. Does he Living Death? Grave Purge. Ooh, interesting. Put any number of creature cards on top of your library. Draw a card. Spicy. So you can play Ballista again for free. It'll die. He can redraw. Then get something else. Then you can, like, Eternal Witness. Well, he's got a Dusk to Dawn in his graveyard. You get that back and blow up. Well, it only kills that and that. Get the tutor back, though. We get another treasure. Ooh, that's a Dictate of Erebos. I see what he's up to. So there's the Walking Ballista. That's going to be for 0. That'll trigger Dictate. We could have stopped that and kept this Esior alive. We probably should have, but this is all going to work out beautifully. Opponent shoots the Elvish Mystic. So now they're going to have to sacrifice something meaty over here. Smothering Tithe continuing to trigger, getting us all the mana that we so badly need. Skullclamp, opponent's going to draw 2 cards, more mana for us. Ooh, this is back on 4 loyalty. That is not ideal. With all that, though, that's going to bring it back to our turn. We have a lot of mana now. Ooh, there's a land. Play a land. We do need card draw. That's what we're missing. So I guess we just play both of our commanders. Play Akroma. Play Jeska. Do we play Jeska? Jeska might be hard to protect. Maybe we just hang back on the Jeska and leave up more for the Heliod's intervention. Yeah, I think I like that better, because Jeska's just going to be a target, so. Akroma trigger. No other creatures, though. Opponent could just recast their Esior and put one of these on it and get that last 2 damage in. Don't know if they have exactly enough mana. We'll find out. Aura Thief, when it dies, you gain control of all enchantments. That seems bad. They can take the Dictate, though. And they are not well suited to use the Dictate. Boots on the Aura Thief. Curse of Verbosity. Whenever the enchanted player is attacked, the player attacking that player draws a card, and you draw a card. We are the chosen player. That is unfortunate. No attacks from opponent. I'm curious to see what this Grunn does. Reminop Excavator. This does not naturally have trample, which is interesting. Cracks the Myriad Landscape. Gets it back. Always a nice play. And is out of gas. Where do they attack? Gonna swing it over to Nate. It's gonna double its power. Now's probably a great time to deal with the Dictate of Erebos. So I think we just blow up all the stuff. Dictate, Soul Ring, Jite, that, and that. It's gonna be X6. Ooh, that's 8 mana. That will be a lot of our treasures. So all the artifacts and enchantments going down, other than ours. Oop, we forgot the curse. Nate draws a card. We get a treasure. Blood Pet, sacks it for mana, draws a card. Beast Whisperer back to play. Priest of Forgotten Gods, they'll draw a card. We'll make a mana. Thrall Parasite, Smothering Tithe, Beast Whisperer. Nate's gonna send a zombie over our way. He's gonna draw a card. There's 2 card draws there, so we get 2 treasures. We'll just take, because if it dies, he draws another card. Also, we're at 45. Pretty healthy after that swords. We haven't been the threat all game because we've been missing land drops and haven't been doing that much. So just take that down to 43. Oh, right. Yeah, we're going to have to sacrifice Akroma. That is indeed what's going to happen. And then we're going to lose our Smothering Tithe. Yeah, we should have dealt with that. Leaving that Liliana was not a good idea. Back to the command zone. Opponent's going to take our Smothering Tithe. I had thought about shooting it. We really need to draw some cards. Embercleave is a card. The thing we're missing is Flash. What is the likelihood that we don't just keep sacrificing our stuff every single turn? Opponent gets Smothering Tithe. Yeah, recast Akroma. If we cast Jeska, it would come in with 3 counters. We could double that damage with Insult. That's still only 6 damage, so we'd probably need to cast 1 more commander. No, it'd still be... we need to get Nate just a little bit lower before that's going to work. Yeah, pass like that. We need haste. Badly missing haste. That can be easily fixed through the land slots in this deck. Also boots and things like that too, but... opponent's going to Treasure Cruise, yep. Silas Wren into play, interesting. Lightning Greaves. Equips. We do have First Strike, so if they come our way, we can just eat it. They probably go at the green player right now since they have no blockers. Try to get something back. No, they're going to come our way. Curse of Verbosity. They draw a card. A block with Akroma. I'm guessing they forgot about the First Strike. That's my guess there. Mana Crypt for opponent. Yep, they said, dope, First Strike. Got distracted. Falthis back to play. That's an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Well, can't do much about that. It's going to clean up a bunch of things. Does he go all 7? He may not go all 7. Goes X4. Nice. That means we can hopefully kill someone. And cracks their Myriad Landscape again. Mentor of the Meek back to play. Bygone Bishop. We still have Trample. Trample's good. Double Strike and Trample on that. Should be pretty serious. There's the Eternal Witness. What's that going to get back? They get to investigate. Getting back Demonic Tutor. Ew. Yeah, if we can, I'm just going to try and take him out, because his deck's going to be the hardest to interact with. He said he's playing Aristocrats, and once the Aristocrats happen, you can't stop it. You really need to stop them before they happen, so this would be the time to do that. Brings back to our turn as Mountain. Play a Mountain. Play Jeska. Use the triple damage mode. Swing into Nate. Cast the cost-reduced Embercleave. If he doesn't have anything, this is going to be a lot of damage. He's at 12 right now, goes to -9, goes to 42 commander damage. Nice. Beautiful. Just what we like to see. So Nate goes down, and we'll pass like that. Feeling all right with the Akroma's Will in hand. The problem is still going to be that, we need a couple turns to take everyone down because we don't have extra combats right now. Esior back to play. Boots on it. Opponent could exile our Jeska. They would lose their Ugin, though. I don't know if it's worth it. It could be with the Esior, because they could exile the Esior also. Opponent goes no attacks. Gonna bolt our Jeska. Oh, right, they can do it that way. Yep, Jeska's gonna go down. Back to the command zone. Regal Force. Not great when you don't have creatures in play. They're gonna draw 1. Girapur Orrery. We could actually do 4 damage to the Ugin. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard of. I think we just recast Jeska. Yeah, triple the damage on this Akroma. We're going to try to take out the Dimir player just because they have a lot more cards. Swing into Pauper. He's got something. He's just cycling a land. He doesn't have the thing yet. It's gonna block. It's at 48 life. Blocks, takes 12. 33 commander damage. Jeska Akroma. Oh man, don't get hit by it. Pass like that. We're in a pretty good spot. As long as Mango can't make a big play, we can just take them out. Oh, they draw 3 cards off the gear per Ori. It's actually really difficult to do that. I've run this card in the past, and it's just difficult to get all the cards out of your hand. It's probably a little easier now since things have gotten cheaper, a little bit more efficient, but years past. Opponent's going to exile everything for 3. I think that's just the Jeska. Back to the command zone. Ooh, greater good. Okay, they're going to get some card draw. Not out of it yet. Sacrifice the Regal Force. So they'll draw 5 and then discard 3. Oh, opponent scoops it right there. We could have doubled the damage on the Embercleave, Jeska, and Akroma for absolute silliness. I can't believe that worked. Said he drew nothing but lands and ramp. Man, how did we win that game? The reason we won that game is because Nate was the threat and Pauper was the threat with their Dimir deck. We were not a problem to anyone else, so no one had any reason to worry about us, and most of the removal went between our opponents and not at us. So because a lot of removal happened in the middle, that gave us the time to get caught up on our lands, and in particular let that Smothering Tithe do its work. If this goes down, we're just out of this game completely. And so I think I want to see some changes at the front half of this deck. Right now, in terms of like value, we have Thaumatic Compass, there's a Tithe. Those are good. Those are good. I think we need to get more ramp, more card draw in this deck because we saw what just our 2 commanders can do. Like, that game was basically just our 2 commanders punching people and us having enough time to set those plays up. So there's one way you could build this deck where you go like almost no creatures and just put a million ways to like ramp, draw cards, and protect Akroma. Is one way you could go about this deck. Right now, this deck is a little bit more of like a standard build. It's got 18 creatures. That's about similar to something you would see in a Voltron deck. But I do think the problem right now is just the value in the early part of the game. All the stuff at the top end looks fantastic. It's really this part of the deck that I think we want to make some changes. So, you know, the question that I have is like, does this deck want low drop creatures at all? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I'd probably have to play it a few more times, especially ones without flying. Like, Carry Zev is certainly fun, and I get it. It's going to get +2 off Akroma, but I just don't think it's like that impactful for what we're wanting to do. Swiftblade Vindicator is actually pretty cute, because if you triple that and then have like an equipment on it, or with Akroma also, that is actually a lot of damage. So Akroma will give it +3, which is going to make it a 4/4 double strike, and then if you triple the damage on that, that's 12 damage with no other buffs. So right now this deck has things that are good at doing damage. It's some of the other stuff that we need to take care of. So let's do that. We've got an Amaria Shepherd, which 100% means Burnished Heart in this deck. So get a Burnished Heart. It's going to be good ramp. One of the things that I felt like we were missing cards that turn 1 card into 2 cards. So like a really simple change is, instead of Wayfarer's Bauble, I would actually go for Armillary Sphere. You could also use Gift of Estates, and honestly, I would probably go both. So, like I said, because our commanders are so strong, they essentially one-hit things. You want to make sure you hit every single land drop. Like, you just don't want to ever miss a land drop, because if you can keep these in play, good things are going to happen. Before I forget about it, we should also add a Cathedral of War. That will make Akroma a 7/7, and that is actually lethal. There's a few other ways to get Exalted. A thing that you could potentially look at also is like Citadel Siege. I use it in my Aurelia deck. It's very solid. It's not necessarily a card that like just outright wins you a game, but it can do some really crazy things. So, you know, if we think about like even just putting counters on a Swiftblade Vindicator every turn could be really good. It'll get Akroma up to the 7 power that it needs, or the 8 rather, that, you know, once you triple it, you're now able to one-hit opponents out of the game. That's definitely something to look at. There's probably a few other ways. The other one, what's it called? You could consider Angelic Benediction. It's not the most insane card ever printed, but the Exalted's important, and the ability to tap creatures down is actually not terrible. So that's something you could look at. I'm not saying it's like a 100% must go in the deck, but it's certainly a cute little option that'll get you to 7 power. There's, of course, other ways to do it. The fact that you have a Swiftblade Vindicator, you know, to me means swords, all the swords of X and Y. Get as many of those as you possibly can. Although, you know what, though? You do have to be careful with the pro red swords, which unfortunately is Sinew and Steel and War and Peace, two of the cheaper ones. Also makes Fire and Ice not necessarily the best because of the pro red. That is one easy way to draw cards in Boros. So, as much as I really, really like those. But the thing I definitely would add, we need to get a Mask of Memory in here. We need to draw more cards. Big time. Sword of the Animist getting pretty expensive in paper. Sword of the Animist, Dousing Dagger, or both. Actually, let's do a little count and just see how many early creatures we have in this deck. 9. We've got 9 creatures at 4 mana or less. I think that's enough. I think that's enough to make my normal equipment package work. So, like, these cards are just insane value for all Boros decks. You should probably add these, but let's suppose for a moment that maybe the 9 creatures we have isn't enough, because it's right on the cusp. Akroma is not the best candidate for trying to get value with these just because of how slow she is at 7, so let's just assume for a moment that we don't want to be on this plan, even though we probably do, just looking at some other options beside, the 3 cards that I put in every single deck that I play. So, first, let's take a look at our mana production. This deck is going to want to have some really good mana production because Akroma's 7 mana and because you then need the 3 mana for Jeska after it. Okay, so there's 13 pieces, and some of those I've added. I added Thran Dynamo because I couldn't figure out what card didn't make it. I've added Burnish Chart and Gift of Estates, which means this deck was around 10. I don't think 10 is enough for this deck. You have a 7 mana commander. You really want to make sure you're ramping. You've also got a decent amount of 6 drops in the deck, so you want to be able to get to those 6 drops. You want to have some mana left over to protect them with your protection spells, so you really want to get to like 10 mana very quickly if you can. So lots of ramp in this deck. Any form of multi-ramp you can get is going to be good. Talked about Dousing Dagger, Sword of the Animus, all that stuff already. But if you don't have those, even a Solemn Simulacrum can be really good. Because you have a Maria Shepherd in the deck, that's it's not exactly a wombo combo, but like planes get a Solemn Simulacrum, have it die to something is not the worst thing ever. The other card that I think is also going to be really solid here, I've already added Thran Dynamo, which you should 100% have in this deck. It's going to be Gilded Lotus. I know it's slow. A lot of people consider it slow by today's standards, but it's going to get you that mana you need for Akroma and possibly having something left up for a brought back Deflecting Palm or, one of your protection effects. So I think Gilded Lotus is going to be a really good addition as well. That brings us up to about 15 pieces of total mana production in the deck, and that's going to be much, much better for what this deck is wanting to do. But we also want to get some card draw in the deck. We were badly needing card draw. The first thing, the easy thing to do is the lands. So let's get a War Room. Let's get... Bonder's Enclave might be a little risky for this deck. I don't know how often you're going to have a 4-mana creature in the deck. You can certainly add it. I might go for Makokoro, which I think is getting pricey again. It was cheap after it got reprinted, but I think it's creeping up now. I'd probably go Makokoro and Gaia Reach Sanitarium first. Gaia Reach is really good if you have like Tithe, Land Tax, Gift of Estates type stuff. You can discard any excess lands and turn those into things. So I would start there. You will want to be a little bit careful. Exiling off the top is not great when you have a lot of expensive cards in the deck. You want to focus on ones that give you like 2 turns. So Ignite the Future is probably going to be my first go-to here. I like Ignite the Future. I think a Wheel of Misfortune. Probably just a Skull Clamp. Skull Clamp is really solid card draw. Your creatures are going to die somewhere, so I would do that. Because in this game, I don't think we drew any extra cards. We were really just kind of like working with the stuff that we had and not able to dig for new things. And, sometimes that works, but quite often that can backfire. What else was I feeling like? We could have used an extra combat somewhere at the end, but I think that was more of a product of we just didn't draw enough cards to be able to find an extra combat. I do have some question of like, how much double damage do you need? Because Jeska triples the damage, I personally would probably not run very much of the doubling damage. Insult is good because of the damage prevention, so I'd keep that one. But like you had Fiendish Duo in here, I'd probably go for an extra combat spell in that slot instead. Or like True Conviction's also really good for the lifelink. I've got the Mirage in here again because it fills a very similar role. I probably actually would add the Mirage because again that'll also get you over that 7 power with the triple damage. So I'd make a couple changes right there. I'd probably focus a bit more on the like instead of Anger's Marauders, I would go extra combats instead of that. We do need to cut some things in this deck. We have gotten a little bit over, so what are we cutting? We can cut Vandal Blast. We've got Hour of Rev and Austere Command. You just don't need a Vandal Blast. Unless you're trying to blow up turn 1 Soul Rings and Mana Crypts, that's the only reason you would want a Vandal Blast. If you've got Austere Command and Hour of Rev, I find that I just really don't need it, and a lot of times it just doesn't do as much as I need it to do. Like, tapping out 5 for a Vandal Blast usually doesn't feel worth it to me. We're at 41 lands. That's some easy cuts we can make. That brings us down to 104. Some other stuff I want to do. I want to change Wrath of God to Rout. Instant speed on Rout is so incredibly good. It's a small change, but most people forget that Rout is instant speed, and that instant speed board wipe is fantastic. I'm going to cut the Angelic Benediction. You can kind of choose between that one and Citadel Siege. I would probably add one of them. I'm a big fan of Citadel Siege because you can also play the Dragon's Mode if you're not needing the size, and Dragon's Mode just locks people down and is really good against combat decks, so I'd probably do that. There's still a few other things in this deck. You've got Araya up here. I would like to see more Recursion. There's no Sun Titan. I would probably add a Sun Titan. I'm going to try to wrap this up because I know this review is getting a little bit long. Definitely more Recursion, some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of options. Miraculous Recovery, Fiend's Reclamation, Karmic Guide, any of that stuff is all good times. Brought Back is not my favorite card. I think I would cut a Brought Back. I don't think this deck is really... Oh, I see what's going on with the Adriana. Adriana's the +1 that you want. I think there's better ways to get the +1 than Adriana. She's a cool little card. With extra combats, she does get good, though. We'll try to keep it. It's really a question of, like, how many creatures do you want to run in this deck? 18 is not a super high creature count. For me, that's usually what a Voltron deck runs. I think I'm actually going to cut the Swiftblade Vindicator. Without equipment, I'm really mixed on the Swiftblade Vindicator. It's cool. It only does damage. That's the issue that I have with it. And we don't have a ton of equipment, so it's, like, not the best. Like, it can be really cute late in the game, but, like, we played it early and it just kind of sits there waiting for things. Yeah, I think I would cut it. Because just having other creatures in play is going to give you damage. Akroma, Jeska, extra combats, all that stuff. That stuff will give you damage in addition to other things, so I think I can live without it. I'd probably cut the Akroma's Memorial. Again, not a ton of creatures in the deck. The deck's already a bit clunky. We have a bit going on at 6 and 7. You may be able to... You've also got a couple 8-drops too, plus the Rhea, so trying to lighten the load just a little bit where we can is going to be a good idea. Because we've added more land stuff, I think we can cheat down to 36 lands. 37 is going to be safer, but I think with like 3 cards that find lands, we should be all right. And I think I'm actually just going to cut a Fellwar Stone. Like, you could keep it, but the things you're trying to get to are big. When the things you're trying to get to are big, a Signet doesn't change the equation that much. Like, it helps a little. It doesn't help a ton. They're fine. But for these big mana type decks, I generally don't go wild with them. And the last thing I want to do, I just want to get more haste in the deck. So that's going to be Hainware Battlements. That's going to be Flamekin Village. And that's also going to be Slayer Stronghold. And that brings us down to 136 lands, 17 creatures. We have more things in the front half of the deck that can generate us value with Gift of Estates, Skull Clamp, Armillary Sphere, Burnished Heart. These are all things that turn into multiple lands, and that's what you really want to see with this deck. Got a few extra ways to draw with Wheel of Misfortune, Ignite the Future. I'd love to get another one in here, the Skull Clamp. Commune with Lava might be one that I look at. But anyway, yeah, so that should help the deck get through the early game just a little bit better. I was very nervous. I was very nervous for the first half of this game, and luckily things shaped up for us. And in the later part of the game, you could see just how strong having Akroma and Jeska is in play. Basically just one-shot people, and it's glorious. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon, the link below.